Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ken Michael, and I'm the president of the Easton Historical Society and Museum. Today we're having an open house. This is Sunday, July the 16th. And our open house today, the theme of it is farm implements which were manufactured by the Ames Plow Company, which if you happen to be going into Boston anytime soon and look over at Faneuil Hall Market, they have their name and address right on the main building at Faneuil Hall Market. Today's exhibit consists of very, very rare pieces of farm equipment that we have had in various places over the years. And one of our directors, John Coe, who later take you on a tour of the museum and the various implements, came up with the idea that we should use these as an open house, and he was right. To set up today's open house, first of all, I'd like to thank Steve Anderson, who's one of our directors, Leon Lombardi, also a director, Ginny Murray, Joanne England, who are directors and obviously all members. And I'd like to thank a volunteer, Tom Hold, who was here and helped us out a great deal through the week. The exhibit is going to be up beyond today for at least another week. So if you don't have a chance to come by today to look it over and see the museum as a whole, please try to come by on a Monday, Wednesday, or Friday from 10 to 4. We'll be open, and you'll be able to see the exhibit. As I said, John Coe is going to take you on a tour of all of the equipment and all of the implements shortly. And we have open houses generally the second Sunday of every month, and we have a different theme for most open houses. Sometimes we carry over, but not usually. So without further ado, I will say thank you for watching the program. Thank you for coming by. And if you're a member, thank you very much for being a member.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Coe, director here at the Easton Historical Society. July 16th, our open house that we have every month, and we've got a great subject today with the Ames Plow Company implements. The Ames Plow Company bought Ruggles, Norse, and Mason Company in Worcester back in 1861. And they made some great agricultural implements, plows, all sorts of implements. And we actually have them in our building, a number of them, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them. So I want to go around and I'll show you some of the implements we have on display. But a little bit about the Ames Plow Company. They bought it in 1861, first year presidency of Abraham Lincoln, which was awesome. And they bought that and they changed the name from Ruggles, Norse, Ruggles, and Mason to the Ames Plow Company in 1864. They had, their warehouse was right in Boston at Faneuil Hall. Which was great. They manufactured them in Worcester, originally Shrewsbury in the early 1800s, and then Worcester and an Ayr as well. And there was a warehouse on 53 Beaker Street in New York City, which is right about south of the Brooklyn Bridge and near the financial district. So the first piece we have here is just a grinding stone, which is and they're all hand, and nothing with the machines here. So you could actually take this and sharpen your blades, farming blades, or what have you, and I'll get it going if I can. And somebody would get it going like this, and get a little momentum, and here you go, you sharpen that big old blade there, and go chop some wheat. So that's our first piece we have here. And we're gonna go inside right now and go visit all the great implements we have. Okay, so for now we've got a nice display set up of a lot of the implements from the Ames Plow Company. First one you see here is actually a Worcester improved fan mill. It's all hand driven. Now, what the heck did they use these for back then? Well, they put seed in here. They put anywhere from wheat, grass seed, and they'd put it in the hopper, and you'd start the fan going. And on the back side, we have screens. So the larger pieces of chaff would go out, it would fly off the side. The seeds would fall down on the selected screen based on what size you want your seed. and you would pull that out and use that and package up your seeds for either mailing out or just using it on the farm. So this is a beautiful piece. We've had this here for an awful long time, and it's a wonderful piece. We've oiled it up. It's gorgeous. Ames Plow Company, Boston, Worcester, New York. So now we've got a beautiful piece here, and this is a lever cutter where they would actually take, on this platform, they take hay or wheat, they'd bring it through, and what they would do, there's like a paper cutter. This has a blade that I would lift up. We've tied it off just for safety reasons, and they would cut it to length, small little pieces, and they'd add to the feed for the livestock. They wanted smaller pieces and mix it with whatever feed. So that was very beneficial to the livestock. So that's the hand way they did it. They eventually went to some rollers here that would chop down the hay or for the feed. But bottom line, it was for the livestock. So this is a beautiful piece. It's really in great, great condition. So that's another one we've had here for a while. Now, talking about livestock, this is a vegetable cutter. And this is a piece where you throw your vegetables. This, again, was for feed, and to try to get the vegetables in small pieces so the livestock could digest it an awful lot better. You would put it in here. The handle is broken on this, but this wheel would go around, and you would do it by hand, and it would chop up the vegetables, whatever you put in there, root vegetable, carrots, and small pieces would come down in the pan, and they'd mix it with probably a little bit of this, depending on the livestock. But that's a beautiful vegetable cutter from the Ames Plow Company. Now, this is an interesting piece from the Ames Plow Company. This is actually a piece that was resided in Easton. This was pulled out of the Lincoln House on Lincoln Street. Tim Hurley is now the resident, back in 2009. And they found this, and they said, we've got to get this up to the Easton Historical Society. And Frank Menino and I think it was Bert Lewis, and we've got it right here. There's a couple gentlemen that helped bring it up. And Frank had went to actually Southeastern Regional Vocational School, and he knew the shop teacher there was his classmate, and asked him, is this possible? Could you work on this as a project to restore it? This was in really, really, really tough shape. So the wheels were falling off. A lot of the wood was really, really bad. And I could show you part of the original brackets on the side of this. It's actually basically a tilt cart. And that's the kind of lumber they found this in. And this is how they restored it. So thank you, Southeastern Regional, and everybody involved in getting that done back in 2009. We've had this here for an awful long time. It's a beautiful piece. So right behind you, we'll walk down this way. I kind of like this one. This is, we've had this here. This is a corn sheller. And so for feed, you would have dried corn, and the farmers would take the corn cob, the whole corn with a cob with a seed, put it in here. You could adjust this based on the diameter of the cob. Then you would take this and crank it away, and it would take that cob down. The seeds would fall in the basket underneath, and the cob would come flying out. So they could do this pretty well. These obviously went to machine at a later time, but this is in really great shape. You could probably use it today, and it's a really, really nice piece, but very innovative back in the day. They had these pre-1861 too. They had a lot of them going on back in the day. So this is a beautiful piece. This is probably was pretty expensive, and we actually have the prices in a lot of bill of sales here. And to my knowledge, the dollar back in 1864, and even in 1893. So a dollar would equal our dollar right now, or a dollar back then would be about $32 today. So it's 320% inflation rate. So that's when you find something that was there for $5, it's just very, very, very expensive even back in the day. This, it looks like a press. It is a press. It's a wine press, a cider press, a lard press. This is a multi-use. You would put all the whatever fruit you might have in there, and you'd bring it down. You just crank this down. It has a piece that goes on top and it just pushes it down. So you've seen a cider mill where they have presses like this. Some of them actually had grinders attached in 2 of these bins. So they would grind up here, put it in 1 bucket. Then they would, once that's filled and this is done, they take this out, they change the buckets around, and they do it again for apples. But this one is, you can do it with apples, but you have to chop it a little bit or just cut them in half and press it, or you could just press it. So this, we've had this here for an awful lot of years. A beautiful, beautiful, beautiful piece. So these are our pieces we have here. I don't think there's another one here. We have a nice, nice brochure for all our members and non-members and newcomers coming to the station today, which would give a lot of great, great information of all the implements we have. There is one other piece I'm going to show you, which we have now on display. And oh, by the way, these will be here for at least a couple of weeks. So here it is, July 16th. So if somebody wanted to come down after the show and see them, we hope you come down and visit our museum. Okay, we'll move to the other room. So we have just acquired, and we actually had this for a while. These are post office boxes. These were from the Pequonnet Street mail post office that closed about in 1989. And you can see the little building down on 2 Pequonnet Ave. And these were a part of a bank of them. And this is a wonderful piece to get. And we do have a lot of stories on that. And by the way, the first post office in Easton happened to reside down in the Foundry section. That was a Mr. Weatherby. He was the postmaster of the first one that took care of Mansfield, Norton, and Easton in 1800. Then we actually had in 1801, they decided to have their own one, and Daniel Wheaton was the first postmaster there. And he actually had it in his home, right next door on the south of his home. He had a small little postal service. It got later moved up to Lincoln Drake's company store, which is on Foundry Street. And that's the big store. You would call it, probably a few years ago, it was Trader Don's, or you could call it Swift Store. It's really named Swift Store. There was a lot of meaning to it back in the day. And or Lincoln Drake store. It's the big building you see right on Foundry Street with Pequonnet Ave running to the right of it as you look at it going north. Now just behind Swift Store, this is where the last building on Pequonnet Ave was. But it's just a beautiful find. I do know Box 1 is a friend of ours, and they let us know. It was Judy Dunn, and she said, I remember that. It was Box 1. Our family, the Dunns, had Box 1. So I hope she comes up and gives us the combination, and so we can open up, because I think there's a letter in there. I'm not sure. But a really beautiful, beautiful find. And we've got all the information. By the way, we've got all the information in all the post offices in Easton. I know people from Eastondale love their post office. Southeastern love their post office. Northeastern loves their post office. The Foundry had the first post office. That's great. So I'm Jonathan Coe, one of the directors here. Thank you for watching this, and please come down to our museum. We're always looking for new members and great donations like this. All these great artifacts we have are all been donated to us. So thank you very much for supporting us, and have a great day. See you down here soon.